Hello, welcome to our channel.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. That was an overwhelming response. Can you hear me okay in the back, folks? Well, welcome on board the Millennium of Peace for your cruise today. Quick safety announcement as we do depart the pier. Nothing to alarm you, simply to make you more familiar with this boat you're travelling on today. We are fully licensed by the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, the Port of London Authority, to carry up to 499 passengers. There are 58 of you on board currently. We're equipped with all of the latest and up-to-date life-saving equipment. That includes life jackets, life rings, life rafts, floats displayed all around the vessel by the international green and cream stickers. We're in constant communication with all of the other boats, the emergency services around us. In the highly unlikely event of an emergency today, the best of luck to each and every person on board. I've got a few people's attention and they weren't listening. I'm only joking, folks. Just remain calm, stay seated, follow the instructions given by a uniformed member of crew. Is that okay with everybody so far?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, on the way up to Westminster, that's in the direction behind us, we do have two options today. Option one, the company, they provide us with a pre-recorded commentary system. It's a live commentary. It works on a GPS tracking device. Here in the wheel box it will point out some of London's sights. Keep it to yourself, alright? I'm going to try my best. You see the Metropolitan Police here on the left hand side? And that's the oldest uniformed force in the world, patrolling the banks of the River Thames, working hard as you can see. 1894, the bridge, 127 years old. The middle part, it lifts up into two, allows big ships in and out of this stretch of the River Thames. Now the bridge, it will open 364 days a year. There's only one day of the year that the bridge will not open. Does anybody know which day that is. It's not Christmas Day. It's not New Year's Day. It's the day of the London Marathon, as this is part of the route. It's even been a zoo, now home to the Queen's crown jewels. On selected days, you can actually visit the Tower of London for as little as £1. They don't advertise it very much, but on selected dates, you can actually visit the Tower of London for as little as £1. Now, a common question we get asked about the Tower of London is, where is the bloody tower? And if you look across to the right, you can't see the bloody tower because it's behind the bloody trees. Now, standing tall in the skyline on the left, 1,017 foot high, the Shard, or the Shard of Glass. Inside, hotels, offices, restaurants, apartments. The most expensive apartment of which will set you back £30 million. Very expensive indeed.
Not worth it.
Below that, you see our very own warship, the HMS Bellforce. She was one of the first vessels to fire her guns in anger on the D-Day landings. She last fought in the Korean War. There's 6 guns or turrets at the rear and 6 guns or turrets at the front, capable of shooting a 100-pound shell up to 13 land miles, very far infield. Take a look at the front of the ship on the left. You will see a Union Jack. Now, this is the only Union Jack you'll see here in London today. To be called a Union Jack, the flag, it must be flown on the front of a British warship on a wooden jackstaff. If you look closely, it's on a wooden pole there in the front.
Yeah.
That's a wooden jackstaff. You see any others here in London? If they're not on the front of a British warship, we call them the Union flag. To the right-hand side of the boat, some of London's new builds. The cheese grater, the walkie-talkie, the gherkin. Don't ask me who come up with these names. I've got no idea. But if you look at the top of the walkie-talkie building, you see lots of people up there. There's a Sky Garden, a bar and restaurant. Now, I'll give you a tip. The viewing platform up there is free of charge. You just go online and you book your tickets. That's why it's so busy up there. The viewing platform, free of charge. Little tip for you there.
Don't even think
Now,
about
does
it.
anybody know what the bridge in front of us is called? One of the most famous bridges in the world. This is London Bridge. You'll see its name engraved into the stone either side of the boat. This is the 5th bridge to have stood here, opened by Queen Elizabeth II in 1973. Other bridges have been taken down, they've burned down. You may have heard the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. If you look in between the building here on the right, you will see a golden flame. The monument, put here to commemorate all of those lost during the Great Fire of London. A previous London Bridge taken down to stop that Great Fire from spreading from the north of the river on the right to the south of the river on the left. The last bridge to stand here, sold to an American man for $2 million. Now standing in Lake Havasu in Arizona. Now currently here in London, the tide is coming in. The water is coming in from the sea. It's pushing us up towards our next stop, Westminster Pier. Now the tide, it will come in from the sea here in London and for around about 5 hours. The tide, it will then turn, it will go out to sea for around about 7 hours. Slightly longer, allows all of the land water to run out with it. To show you just how high the tide can rise here on the Thames, if you look to the right hand side of the boat, just below the pathway, you see the green moss line along the river wall there. It shows you just how high the tide can rise. It can rise up to nearly 8 meters in height, and it can move up to speeds of 6 miles per hour here on the River Thames. You'll see the tide moving around the base of the bridge here, either side of the boat. Here at Cannon Street, it shows you just how quickly the tide it can move. Now as the tide rises here in London, large boats, they'll come alongside working sites like Walford Wharf here on the right. And inside all of these grey containers, London's rubbish, London's waste. They'll collect this barge full of London's rubbish, full of our waste, and they'll take it out to a place called Essex. That's what we do with our waste and our rubbish here in London, folks. We ship it all out to a place called Essex. We then turn it into reality TV programmes that we all love to watch at the end of the day, you know. And this is the Southwark Road Bridge. Take a look at the base of the bridge here. Either side of the boat you see chains hanging along the footings. These chains, they give you something to grab onto if you happen to fall in. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's what it is. To the left, a white round building with a thatched roof. That's Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. You can watch live entertainment in the Globe from April the 23rd, Shakespeare's birthday, until the middle of October. It's one of the only buildings in London to have a thatched roof, as these became illegal after the Great Fire of London. Now, years ago, when people could not read or write, they were illiterate. The flag flying on top of the globe there, that would help you to understand what is being shown inside. A white flag for a comedy, a black flag for a tragedy, or a red flag like you see today for a historical play. Do we have any modern art fans on board today? Any modern art fans? A couple of people. Look to the left, just next to the Globe Theatre, and you see the former Bankside Power Station. That's now the Tate Modern, the most visited modern art gallery in the world. Over 5 million people a year to build St Paul's, costing just £75,000. Now the cathedral is 365 foot high, easy to remember as 1 foot for every day of the year. There is a viewing platform at the top of St Paul's. You see the railing around the outside. Costs you about £15 to £20 to go inside. However, if you go there on a Sunday, you go there on a weekend, and you can join the Sunday service for free. So if anybody's around the weekend, then why not head over to St Paul's? The two closest bridges on our trip today, that's ahead of us now. The Blackfriars Rail, the Blackfriars Road Bridge. Take a look to the roof of the railway station, and you see solar panels from one side of the river to the other. These solar panels, a £500 million development for the London 2012 Olympic Games. The solar panels on top of this bridge, they power up to 70% of the station's daily use. Now, as these bridges are so close together, they're also known as the Tunnel of Love. They say, if you kiss the one you love as you pass through the bridges, development projects. As the population has grown from 1 to nearly 10 million people here in London, we've needed a new sewer system. And the sewer system, it will sit just next to the current one. When that fills up, it will spill out into the new one, creating thousands of new jobs. But the project itself, around about 5 years behind schedule. And if you look across to the right, you will understand why. They're all walking around doing absolutely nothing. 5 years behind schedule. To the left-hand side of the boat, on the south bank of the Thames, and the red brick building you see, that's the Oxo Tower. It was looked after by the Vestry family, who created the Oxo Gravy Granule Cube. Now a 5-star restaurant at the top, and luxury, unaffordable housing in the middle. You can actually walk all the way down the south bank of the Thames here on the left, from where we picked you up to where we're going to drop you off. On a nice day like today, as you can see, bars, restaurants, live entertainment on the south bank of the Thames. To the right, just below the pathway here, you'll notice rows of green metal lions' heads. Now these lions, they're an early flood warning sign. They say if the water rises to the level of the lion's mouths, the river, it might overflow its banks. And there's an old saying to help you remember this. Let's see if you can finish it with me. They say if the lions aren't drinking, then London is sinking. If it's up to the lions' veins, we will go down the drains. And if the lions are well and truly ducked, then London is well and truly flooded. We're now leaving the city of London. We enter the city of Westminster. Temple Arch on the right hand side here, that is the boundary point. You'll see one of the most famous boats out here on the Thames coming up on the right hand side. It's not the white one you see here, just in front of that, the black and white St Catherine. It's got the black canopy on the top. That's the former Queen's Royal Barge. Right up until the early 1960s, any meetings that needed to be conducted that have been done out here on the Thames, on the St Catherine you see on the right hand side. Now a permanent restaurant at Temple Pier. If you look behind Temple Pier on the right, you see a building with a round green roof. That's Somerset House. It used to hold all the information regarding births, marriages and deaths. Now a listed building, they can't knock it down, so they host many popular events inside, such as the London Fashion Week. To the left hand side of the boat, just behind the trees there, it looks like a multi-storey car park. It's got a billboard on the front. It's not. It's our National Theatre. There's 3 theatres inside, the most famous of which being the Olivier Theatre. You can watch live entertainment in the Olivier for as little as £5. For those of you that know, you can't even buy a beer in London anymore for less than £5. So very good value for money indeed. Take a look at how clean the face of the bridge is here compared to the underneath. This is the Waterloo Road Bridge, also known as the Ladies' Bridge, built by a predominantly female workforce during the Second World War. While the men were away fighting, the ladies, they did what you do best. They went out shopping and bought the most expensive stuff, a Portland stone. Now Portland stone, it's self-cleaning. So when it rains here in London, which is not very often, the rain, it will wash away the dirt on the side of the bridge. Tower Bridge, St Paul's Cathedral, which we just see, they're also built out of this Portland stone. So well done to the ladies. To the right, with the green roof, the Union flag on top, one of the most famous hotels in the world, the Savoy Hotel. Costs you around £1,000 a night to stay at the Savoy Hotel. You stay there New Year's Eve, cost you up to £20,000 a room. Very expensive indeed. Now many of the buildings you see around here, they're completely soundproof due to how noisy the Charing Cross railway station is ahead of us. Not only are we going underneath a train line, we'll also be on top of it. The overground, it runs above us. The underground, the Northern and Bakerloo line, directly underneath the boat. And what we like to do, as we pass underneath the bridge, we like to make a little bit more noise. If friend driving the boat, he'll wake the bridge up for you. Give them a wave up there, folks, as we pass underneath the bridge. Give them a wave up there. Hopefully they're happy to see us.
Not really.
Generally people do wave back, unless they're Londoners, very miserable people. And Londoners are, I think they must have heard. There you go, give them a wave. We'll try again on the other side. Hopefully they're more happy to see us. Captain wakes the bridge up for us. Give them a wave up. Now as we clear the bridge, on the left hand side a nice photo opportunity of one of London's most popular tourist attractions, the London Eye. Put here in the millennium year just a little bit of advice. Do make sure she's going to say Yes. Otherwise you're going to be stuck at the top of the London Eye with a lady that doesn't love you. You're going to have 22 strangers staring at you. And for those of you that know, like marriage and relationships, it's just all downhill from there. It don't get much better from this. Now we gradually make our approach in towards our next stop here on the right, that is Westminster Pier. Currently, as mentioned, the tide, it will continue to push us up the river. So the captain, he spins the boat around here to slow the boat down. We face the boat up into the incoming tide. Now as my friend spins the boat around on the left, you get a nice photo of the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben. Big Ben, a nickname for the 13.5-ton bell. So it'll only chime on special occasions until next year. These special occasions, they include Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, my birthday, the captain's birthday, special occasions here in London. Your birthday. Now Parliament has been here since the early 1700s. In 1834, the building, it burned down. Somebody left a candle alight inside. It was rebuilt, it still stands today. That's the chair to our government. If the flag is flying on top, which it is, that flag the size of a tennis court, then Parliament is in session. Now some say, with all of that scaffolding around it, it has more support than our current government. But who knows? Probably shouldn't say that too loud. Now as we approach the pier, please do remain seated until this boat is safely tied up alongside. When it's safe to get off, my friend the captain, he will let you know. Travel information, this boat will remain alongside Westminster Pier for 5 to 10 minutes. We'll then be making our way across to the London Eye and back downriver. I know many of you are leaving us here, so thank you.
observation wheel on the south bank, called the London Eye, can be a spectacular place to celebrate New Year's Eve. People line up all along the Thames to watch the sky and the river explode with fireworks. The views from the London Eye are amazing in broad daylight too.
You'll see Temple Arch. We're now leaving the city of Westminster. We enter the city of London. Temple Arch on the left-hand side is the boundary. Now you'll see some of London's hidden secrets on the right. Here in London, we've got some of the finest beaches in the world. You want to play around in broken glass, rusty nails, whatever else is over there on that beach, and then feel free to do so. Give that white building behind the beach a wave. Give it a wave as we go past. That's the ITV News Studios. You might find yourself live on the news. Hopefully you're not with someone you're not meant to be with. And just keep waving, I'm sure you'll blend in. Now you can see it doesn't say ITV News Studios anymore. Because here on the Thames, there's no commercial advertising. You cannot display your company's logo on the banks of the Thames. However, the building next to that on the right, it came up with a very ingenious way to do. The red brick building you see, take a look at the windows at the top, engraved the letters OXO, the OXO Tower. It was looked after by the Vestry family, who created the OXO gravy granule cube. It was a power station for the post office, Now a 5-star Harvey Nichols restaurant at the top, and luxury, unaffordable housing in the middle. Very expensive. To the left-hand side of the boat, you'll see a construction site here on the Thames, and that's the Tideway Tunnel Development Project. A £5 billion super and 65 foot high. Easy to remember as 1 foot for every day of the year. Now ahead of the boat, this is the newest bridge we'll pass under on our trip today. This is the Millennium Footbridge, also known as the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. 2 hours after opening, this bridge, it was closed by the Metropolitan Police. They say it swayed from side to side